This episode of the Beyond the Physics podcast is brought to you by you. So if you'd like to support the podcast, please leave a rating and review and consider subscribing at patreon.com/Beyond the Physics. This is Beyond the Physics. Okay.
Do you listen to it?
What?
I skip hard intros all the time.
Oh, I don't care whatever intro is on.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't really have any preference.
Well, actually, I should let you direct.
That's okay.
Your podcast. My bad.
We're recording, and I'm trying out this new technology with the transcription stuff, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so let's just get started.
Let's do it.
But yeah,
should I talk?
Yeah, I've already been checking the levels and stuff. I
Okay.
think they're mostly good, but I'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, it's been a while. I mean, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were alluding to some stuff. I have no idea what we're stepping into.
Yeah.
I have no game
It
plan
should be interesting.
of what we're going to talk about. So
Hey, no game plan is my favorite game plan.
okay, but what sounds interesting to you to talk about? What would you like to talk about today?
So since we alluded to it, we might as well just discuss it.
Okay.
So I was talking a bit about how, I'm sure some viewers or some listeners, whatever we are, I don't know if we're on YouTube now.
Mm-hmm.
I heard
Yeah.
Beyond the Physics is doing big things and upgrading to YouTube now. So maybe some viewers, probably still no video though.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm an atheist,
Mhm.
of course. I think it's well known.
So that hasn't
know.
changed.
No.
Okay.
But I will say that I am turning a corner on religion.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I used to be more of a vehement atheist, a la Richard Dawkins or Hitchens, or, well, I'd say a mild version.
So
Not that extreme, but
you're saying
did not
you were
see-
more like an anti-theist.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Anti-theist, where I thought it is not very useful.
Okay.
But I have come around to disagree with that
Okay.
ideology that I've had previously. So I believe that there is utility to religion now, because I tried to imagine what would be the limiting case for no religion
Okay.
in a society today. And I think that it would not be a good society. And I was kind of thinking about, how people talk about the West would fall without, its religious underpinning. And I kind of agree. I feel like religion is kind of one of the last things holding civil society together, because, you can have laws and all these things and whatnot that are man-made, which are very useful. I mean, they're extremely useful. But at the end of the day, people need religion to be able to have some kind of moral guiding force. And I say people as in general, the general statement of people. I believe that most people need religion as a foundation, something simple and easy to understand that will give you hope and will give you a guiding direction.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot there. So we're starting off in the
deep end.
Yeah,
Let's do it,
the
man.
hot,
That's what we do.
The hot stuff already. Okay. But anyway, so I'm assuming since you want to talk about rounding the corner,
Yeah.
I could be like straight up with you.
Yep, you can.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can. Yeah, man. Of course, you can be anything.
Yeah. Okay. But so then you said at the top that you're still atheist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
So then why are you an atheist, but you believe that religion is perhaps good or even necessary for society?
So I'm just trying to think of it in terms of societal stability.
Yeah.
I think that a stable society, you kind of need a religious underpinning. Now, who's to say that is something that needs to happen indefinitely? I can't say that. But I will say at least the strong statement that I believe that this society does need it at the moment. I think that we have not evolved to a level to where we can lose religion. So I think I've probably talked about this at a point in podcasting. I don't know for sure, but I've always said that people need 3 goals in life. You need short-term goals, you need long-term goals, and you need an existential goal. And I think religion falls into that existential goal camp where you need something above yourself. And I think to get to that point naturally, If we're just analyzing it from like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs kind of thing, where you have your baseline as like the basic needs of just food, shelter, whatever. And then at the very top is self-actualization. I think that people need to have that. A lot of people need that religious goal in order to hit that self-actualization part, because it's so hard to get to that level on your own, I think. That you need to sometimes just provide the general public with something that's easy and tangible to hold on to, that will still give you that existential goal, basically.
Okay.
I don't know if that made any sense. It's probably, I feel like it could be tightened up.
That's okay. Yeah, I think there's enough to work with there,
Okay.
for sure.
But like, why does it have to be in the form of like this organized religion? Why can't, like, what are the aspects in your mind of religion that help people to get there, and why can't we build that without the religion, without the baggage of religion?
So it is difficult to get rid of the baggage, right? And that's one of the biggest parts why I don't like religion, because it does come with the baggage sometimes, right? Especially when they try to make claims about the universe, because it's just dead wrong, right? I mean, you can analyze any pretty much religious text and it just makes crazy claims about how the universe began and all these things that just don't square away with modern science or anything. So that's like an easy thing to just say right there, that it doesn't have utility. But I've grown to think it has utility in the terms of it's really a big part of it is its I'm drawing a blank on its rituals.
Okay.
So I think religious ritual is very interesting and useful. So it's kind of cool and something that we don't have a replacement for in modern society, because what I see a religious ritual as is it's something that reminds you of your place in the universe every week. So basically, if you could just think of Sunday as it's just a spiritual day, it reminds you of your place in the universe, and kind of gives you a space allocated to already putting yourself in the mindset of giving yourself to something higher than yourself. And you can, something to replace religion would be something like giving yourself to a charity, or giving yourself to just trying to help someone or help people. It's like you're giving yourself to something above you, basically, something that's for humanity, for the universe, whatever you want to call it. So I think that is a hugely powerful aspect of religion that we don't get anywhere else in society. Like, what other system in society do we have that provides an allocated time to ponder the universe or give yourself to something higher, a higher cause than yourself?
Well, I think you could find that in anything, potentially, right? So it's like, my first question is that higher spiritual time that each person has, would you say that is like a necessity to living a good life or having a good society?
I think so. Yeah, I do.
So
I think that's why most societies form religion in some form or another. I think it's like almost it's like some inbuilt feature for humans to develop to be a society that continues on.
Yeah, obviously we're biased towards that, considering that there's religions across the world.
Yeah.
Right? But
Well, it may not be obvious, because if you can think of a counterexample where there is a society with no religion, I just don't know of one that exists.
Yeah, not off the top of my head. But my question then for you is, if that's necessary to have a good life, then how do you live your life?
Well, this is the thing. I don't want to say that it's necessary for everyone. I'm just saying that it's a system that is a very so it's really the key part of it is it's accessible. So religion is a very kind of accessible thing that everybody can get easily. It provides nice, easy answers. It gives people hope immediately. You don't have to really do much thinking. It doesn't take a long time to get to that path. So it can provide you with. It's kind of like, I kind of see it as like a I don't know, like a filler version of a self-actualization goal or an existential goal. I don't think it's the right one. I think it's just one that's very accessible and easy to get to, especially for a general population that probably won't even get to the level of trying to figure out existential goals. I think getting to an existential goal, like, is what I go through in my personal self. I try to hit those existential goals, but I don't think everybody does that. I think most people, or a lot of people, I don't want to say most people, I think a lot of people are content with life just living kind of as they go and just always being in the present kind of, and never really trying to expand past it, just being happy with living a normal, simple life. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think you should be able to do that. But I think religion gives you that extra boost to those kind of people who may not ever get to that higher calling or that higher purpose. Because it gives you, a lot of times religion gives you the tools to already want to help your community.
Yeah.
Or provide for a charity or help the homeless or something. Yeah. Which is, to me, that kind of already goes in the same line of like an existential goal.
Sure.
So religion is just there kind of just by happenstance.
Yeah.
It's just whatever our weird inbuilt biology that draws us to a religion is, that fills that need kind of by just sheer luck that it helps out people in the community alongside it.
Yeah, well, I think that religion obviously fills an important function in society, and I think it does have value. I think it provides good foundation for a lot of difficult meta-ethical questions about how you should live your life and what is a good life that are not so straightforward and kind of hard to answer in an atheist worldview. That's my personal stance. But I just worry that your perspective might be like a little condescending or something, like thinking that, I can reach spiritual enlightenment or whatever you want to call it. I can reach higher spiritual levels through like my sheer force of will, and like I can exist in this atheistic framework, whereas most other people probably can't handle that. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't know, but I wouldn't want to apply a different standard to some stranger than I would myself.
I mean, I just think that people aren't even given that chance, because like I feel like there's so much opportunity to give people those tools to do the kind of exploration that you're talking about in terms of the spiritual or like existential exploration, but it's not even like put on people's radar. Like you could start that as a child. That could be part of like the education system.
It could.
That like time for the children as they're aging to like have those questions, someone they're guiding them to answer those questions, and like for them to explore answers to their own questions without it having to be around religion. Religion and these stories that don't make logical sense.
Right.
But then are fed to them saying that is true. Those stories are real. And it's like misleading. I don't know. I don't feel okay with feeding people basically lies.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the big problem with it, right? But I was just trying to basically think of what, because, it's like the operating principle of every physicist. We all know that the universe likes to operate at the lowest energy state, right? It's like it's always seeking the lowest energy, or let's just say the stable state, to be really accurate with it. So to me, I'm just trying to analyze what is the stable state for humans and civil society.
Yeah.
And it seems like time and time again, it's shown that religion arises naturally. Well, I don't want to say that for sure. I won't say it definitively, but it seems like religion is kind of a natural state of humans.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of how can we exploit the biology that's already existing? So it's like, I'm not trying, I think that it could be, I don't know if it is, maybe in the future we could do it, but like you're saying, Irene, with the whole, why don't you just teach them the real things and all that? I agree with that 100%, but religion is so ingrained now and it's been here for so long. I'm like, I don't know if people could ever shake that in any reasonable time. Maybe in the future it could happen, but I think it could take on the order of like millennia, right? I could see this being like a hundreds or thousands year problem to try to solve that. So then what I'm trying to do is then think of, okay, what's the most practical thing? If you can somehow work with the existing system and then,
And
go
then
from
what?
there. Well, I guess it would just try to keep the existing system, but then try to reduce all the bad things surrounding it. So the system is good enough. It has a nice, I'll at least speak just for Christianity, right? Some religions are they have a little bit more questionable stuff. At least I'm talking just purely in the Holy Book. But, you know, it's already been shown that some of the Christian religions will evolve over time. You know, like Catholicism has, like, I think they accept evolution now. Don't quote me on that, but I thought I saw something on that. I don't really follow it that close. I don't have that much invested. But
it's just weird to think that evolution would not be accepted, you know, in general.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what happens with religion
nowadays
is
when there's so much information.
Yeah. If there's overwhelming information, eventually they have to cave to it. So that's what I'm hoping is that, okay, if you can somehow work alongside it, where all the good aspects of religion, giving people a life philosophy, giving people a path of ethics and morality, that's pretty good, pretty solid. But then we got to figure out how to shake the universe claims and how things
well, yeah, the weird story that comes along with it. That's not.
I think that, like you're saying, when there's overwhelming evidence in science, they have to cave eventually. You don't have to cave, but it shows that they kind of are having a pattern of doing that. Like Catholicism is one of the hugest forms of Christianity, and they're even caving towards the science as it goes on. So I'm just trying to now think of how we can work with that to keep the good part of religion that I kind of like is the tradition now, or the tradition and routine tied to that, or I'm sorry, specifically the routine aspect that kind of allocates a time frame to look at your place in the universe every week. So I'm trying to just capture everything because I think, like you said, Irene, we need some kind of system in place that kind of does do that. But what else do we have? We have nothing. Someone would have to build that up from scratch.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if anything could be done like that at the same power as religion has.
Well, yeah, I mean, just thinking about it now, because you're bringing it up. I've never thought about it before, but it seems like the most religions are very old institutions, right? They have had thousands of years to build up these practices, to build up a working knowledge, and, you know, get everyone on board with like the messaging behind it. And there's no correlate to like a
secular.
Yeah, exactly. Like a secular type of spiritualism or something, you know, like,
you can maybe say Buddhism is approaching it, but even that's still not secular, right? I guess.
I think it is.
Okay.
But
I'm not sure what the definition is.
But if you wanted to, like, you could go into schools now and, like, you know, help kids answer these questions and set up a framework, and, you know, you give it a few hundred years, you could probably replace a lot of these institutions if you wanted to.
Maybe could. I'm just trying to imagine, though, trying to fight the juggernaut of the existing religions by replacing it with a new form of secular religion. Yeah. Like, that's one part that's unfortunate about religion is people are vehement as shit with religion.
Sure,
and everyone would flip their fucking minds if, you know, you try to do something like that. So I'm like, how can we try to do this in the least damaging, most accommodating way possible? Because people are not going to want to buy into a new religion.
No, I agree.
Yeah. So it's just, I'm trying to think from a very practical standpoint, basically.
Mm-hmm. Like practical in what way? Like
practical in terms of how it can actually be achieved in the short term. And then maybe in the long term that will push it towards, you know, a secular version of religion where it doesn't make universe, like creation of the universe claims and things like that. It's just strictly the ethics and morality and then kind of the rituals and things. That to me is like an ideal religion. And all the other baggage that goes along with that as well. But yeah, so I forget my point, but
it should just be fact-based. Like, we don't know that, so it's like, why would they make claims of something that there's not even
I like, that's when religion 100% loses me. When you start making like these claims on the universe, it doesn't make sense. It's just like, it's obviously wrong. Like, a woman was not made from a rib. Like, it's stupid as hell.
Yeah, well, I mean, with most religious texts, there's a lot of freedom that comes into interpretation, right? So it's like,
the classic argument, right?
Yeah,
this is a metaphor. Oh, this isn't metaphor. Okay, so where are the annotations in the Bible that tell me what parts are metaphor and what parts aren't?
Right, exactly. I mean,
So it's picking and choosing. That's what they always do.
Yeah, and so that's what makes it, cherry picking, right? Anyways, my personal stance, I mean, I think we agree. I think that religion has value in society. I think it helps people. I'm not necessarily anti-theist. I can understand why people believe in a God. I can understand why they believe in Christianity and Islam and whatever. It's totally, for the most part, it's fine with me. But it's just once you start looking at the finer details, that's where I might have an argument of specific passages in the Bible or whatever, where it's really hard to take this metaphor, things seriously about like in Christianity, in the Bible, talking about how to treat women or slaves or whatever. It's really hard to be charitable in those instances. And then it's okay, then your point about all this baggage that comes along with it. It's do we need to bring the whole package with us?
Well, think about already how much has changed.
Yeah.
Because people don't follow some of those more kooky parts of the Bible because they realize through just societal change, science, whatever, all the progress we've made, that some of those parts just don't fly in a modern world.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm also turning the corner, because I'm maybe it isn't so bad because just practically it does kind of work. Yeah. As time goes on, if people are reasonable, which people generally are reasonable, it's they will evolve the religion to kind of fit modern times.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll just be fine. And then at some point, maybe we'll just lose the parts about the universe claims at some point. I don't know. That's maybe idealistic or maybe optimistic, overly optimistic, but I could see it maybe happening.
Yeah.
Because it's already slowly kind of going. I mean, if I'm correct in Catholicism accepting evolution, that's already a humongous step, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's probably plenty of examples of that in terms of the liberalism of society. I think a lot of those religious norms and traditions are pretty flexible. Yeah. And it does. Anecdotally, I would agree that it does seem like religion is changing in that way. So that's pretty hopeful.
Yeah. So I know I think I have optimism for religion more so than I did, and I'm tempted to even go to church. Dare I say it?
Okay,
we'll have to check in with you in 10 years too. Then.
I'm still debating on that though, because I'm I don't know if that's weird, an atheist guy sitting in church just to go for the ritual aspect. And I'm not gonna lie to if someone asked me, I'm not Christian. I'm just here for the ritual, and then it's just gonna be awkwardness. But
no,
you might change some people's minds about how they engage with religion.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be interesting. I've never seen anyone do it. I'm
I think everyone's gonna try to convert you, bro.
They are, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a low faith that they'll be able to do that because I don't think most people's arguments are going to be convincing enough for me.
Right. I mean, that's a good sign.
But of course, I'll always listen to what people have to say.
Yeah.
I've already wrestled with religion for so long, though. I'm pretty damn sure I'm over it. I'm a physicist. Obviously, there's no God in an equation, so it's it's very unlikely their argument is going to convince me unless it involves integrals or partial differential equations, which I think it probably won't.
Well, you never know. There's a lot of religious physicists. I'm sure that they might.
Maybe so. If they could come up with a sophisticated argument, then hey, I'll listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. I mean, I don't know. Do you have anything else?
Oh, you think it's a bow was wrapped on that pretty much?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
do you think my position is odd?
No, not at all. Okay. I don't think it's odd.
Is it surprising to you that I've turned the corner on religion?
No, it's just you turned less hard than I anticipated.
Okay, yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to leave it as a cliffhanger for the podcast because it's one of those good thumbnails, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I thought
is Christian.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I thought we were going with this, and then I was going to be like, okay, but it's just saying religion has value. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Yeah. But
So I guess maybe I was more extreme with it. So you're just like, okay, now he's more reasonable.
yeah.
Because I didn't see much value before.
Yeah.
I thought the universe claims were so damning that it was to me throw out the baby with the bathwater, basically. Mm-hmm. But now I'm like, nah. You know, I've seen too many people who are good people and happy people who do religion, and like people who, you know, addiction and stuff. They go to those what do you call rehabilitation centers, and they literally, part of their stuff is it's integrated to have a higher power. And I'm just like,
yeah.
I mean, and there has to be some credence to it at some level, even if it doesn't have anything to do with how accurate it is explaining the universe. There's credence to it morally and ethically somehow.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's just
religion,
weird to
I
me
give
in those situations
pretty
where
good.
someone has some life-altering event, and then they say, I saw God, and now they're like 100% subscribed to like religion and like every detail about how like everything that they say exists, God exists, all of these things happened. And I understand the utility of having that organization, like you said, and like the community that you have supporting you. That makes sense. Like, okay, I found this community. I want to be part of this community, and I want them to support me and help me to go on with my life. But then to all of a sudden just be like, now I 100% know that like all of these things are also true. God exists, and all these things that this religion tells me also must exist. Like, why can't you separate that? Like, why can't you just say, okay, the reason why things are better is because I have a support system now.
right.
It's not because God is shining his beam on me and helping me. You know?
Right.
It's like you found a community. Those people are helping you. It's like taking away the credit to who it's really due.
That's
it's
true.
like you're the one who did it for yourself, first off. And these people are also there supporting you, you know. That's the reason why you're doing better, not because...
Well, I think the small glimmer of hope in that system also is the fact that I think they do subscribe to God because, or you know, give the credit to God in that sense, because I think to also make that leap, you kind of need to almost give yourself up to hoping. Just, it's almost like they're manifesting, or they're replacing hope with God, essentially. Like, they're hoping that they can just make it through, because sometimes you just are so distraught or so downtrodden that you just like have nothing left, and you just need anything to grab onto, right? So they will just say, you know, God is guiding me. They need a guiding force. And the community is there to help and all that too, but I think there is a big aspect to having that higher power specifically to grab onto.
So it's a psychological trick.
That existential need. I guess you could say it's.
I mean, you're
like
kind of tricking yourself.
Human psychology.
Yeah, you're like thinking
But that's
outsourcing
humans.
it.
We fool ourselves all the time, right? We're such like chemical reactive creatures. We are slaves to our biology in many ways. Like, we're limbic as fuck. I know we got these giant frontal lobes now. We think we're, you know, all that and shit now. But I mean, it's like, at the end of the day,
we still have the reptilian brain.
We still have the reptilian brain.
When that turns on, this frontal lobe is gone.
Yeah. We have to have mental tricks sometimes.
But see,
Like,
that's
I still
what...
have to tell myself to go to the gym. Just put on your fucking shoes, you know. And if you don't want to go, then don't go. But as soon as I put my shoes on, okay, I'll go to the gym.
But it's like understanding the biology of human, how it works, how your brain works. To me, that's way more interesting to understand how everything is actually going together. And I think it's more helpful to like then reprogram myself or retrain myself, because I know I feel these things, but okay, that's part of like my biology, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like some people say, oh, it's like, okay, these things happen. God is willing everything.
Right.
Whereas like, I think of it at more like a physical level, which may be okay. Being a physicist might also lead me towards thinking of things that way. Right. And to me, it helps me that way. It's like a little bit of a detachment from the situation, but thinking, okay, this is a biological thing. I'm feeling so bad because of X, Y, Z. I might think about like psychologically things that happened in my past, why it led me to feel these feelings. I analyze it, and then I understand it, and then I can go forward and move on to the next step. And it's just like, I think those types of tools are so much more powerful than just putting everything on this entity that doesn't really, you know, it doesn't exist. You don't have any control over that at all. Whereas if you knew your biology fully, you knew how your brain worked, why it works the way that it is, you have full control of yourself. That to me should give more confidence than putting all everything, putting everything about my life on some outside being.
I agree, but I think that's hard.
And that should
And
be
that
taught.
kind of goes to I forgot it. I think I didn't answer one of Joe's questions where you were saying like you were trying to say, why do I think like, oh, I can achieve maybe this level of enlightenment compared to maybe the general population. And I don't think that necessarily. It's just that I think everybody has kind of their own goals and wants and needs in life. And I place a very heavy premium on understanding the universe and understanding things at maybe a deeper level than a lot of people might be used to.
Yeah.
Like some people don't care about, what the fucking charge of an electron is. Like who gives a shit, right? I do for some reason. We do for some reason. So be it. But some of these things, they take a little bit more delving into than some people might care to do. Yeah. So if you can present people this accessible system that's very easy to understand, boom, 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 I get it. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a powerful system.
Yeah, well,
sometimes it comes with, nothing's perfect. And sometimes with the good comes the bad. So you have to kind of see what the biggest return on that investment is. Is it better to introduce more people to religion because it's very accessible and easy to get? Or should we, like you're saying, Irene, try to go the hard route and really try to help people understand the very logical reality, how things work, and to take that system.
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, we have so many more advancements, understanding of psychology, physics, biology, chemistry, everything. We have so much information now. We can really understand our bodies at a much better level than we used to. And this is us. Like, we are this machine. How do we know so little about it? How do we teach, like, our children, teach everyone so little about the body that they are in? It is them. They know so little. That's what I think is so wrong. And they say, oh yeah, it's religion, blah, blah, blah. They throw them all in this other story where I'm like, you're not even educating them on what their machine is. They should have that information. It's wrong to take that away from individuals. We have the access. We know it. I think there's a responsibility for us to give the information to people.
I agree 100%.
So it's like, that's why I don't want to pour more money in this area where for me, it seems like there should be more money being put into educating people about us.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I just think what you're saying is a tough road because someone has to initiate that. I don't know why we've gone so long not doing that. Because to me, like you're saying, like we don't learn some of the most coolest shit.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like, it's cool.
It's like to me, it just seems like how do we not know that the universe is 13 billion years old, like in elementary school or middle school?
Yeah.
Like, how is that just not like a fact to know? It's like I didn't know that shit until I was like 20 years old or something. Maybe they just came out with the number, but still, it's like I forget it. It might have been new leading edge stuff, but still, it's like you see my point though. It's like, how do you not know like some things that you really should know? Like it's like huge, humongous parts of our universe we just don't ever talk about. And like you're saying, specifically, even like the human body.
Talking about the universe, our brain.
Yeah, just our brain.
Emotions.
But we learn, I mean, it's like the school system just chooses certain things to learn, I guess, and that's just what the curriculum is. So to me, it almost is like you'd have to revamp the whole school system somehow, which sounds to me like a harder problem than just saying, all right, religion's fine, I guess.
I'm like, I want to do the revamping of the educational system. I've always
think about how broken the education system has been for all of time.
I know.
So to me, it's like, is there just such like an untenable task?
It's a pipe dream, but I still have it.
I would love it too. I just don't know how to do that because to me, it seems like it seems so simple to fix, yet the problem has been broken for so long. I'm like, maybe it's not. I'm usually scared of things like that because I'm like, they've been broken for so long. I don't know if I could actually fix it, and I because it seems simple, but I guess it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, one thing that it seems like is taken for granted at this table, and I'm gonna ask the question, but I already know how we're gonna answer. Is that it seems like we're taking for granted that like it sounds like we're all materialists in the sense that, like, you know, we believe in physics, right? We believe that
empiricism,
like our body is just what we're physically made of, and that's it, right? There's no room for like the spirit or something, right?
correct.
The big matzo ball is like what to do about consciousness and stuff like that, and then that's a whole big rabbit hole.
I think that's overblown.
Yeah,
To me, consciousness is just
because you're a materialist, right? You think
yeah,
that
yeah.
you know consciousness is going to naturally arise out of the stuff that
because
comes.
physicists were very familiar with emergent behavior, right? Mm-hmm. Consciousness is just an emergent behavior. I always ask people, like, do you think you can predict what an emergent behavior will actually be or look like, or like, can you internalize an emergent behavior? I don't think you can. All emergent behaviors, like, they're a surprise when they happen. Like, if you're zoomed in, let's just say, for an example, at the smallest levels on a molecule, there's no way you zoom out and know what that image is going to be. It's like it emerges as a liquid or something, or emerges as a solid. Just analyzing it at the zoomed in level, you know, molecule by molecule, I mean, I don't think you can ever predict what an emergent thing is going to be, unless you have previous information on another emergent phenomenon that you're familiar with that has similar patterns to the other one.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I kind of am on the board of maybe it's an emergent
thing.
But also, regardless, even if it wasn't emergent, it was something else. To me, I guess being a physicist, I always think that there is still some physical explanation as to what consciousness is, period. Like, it's not something on, you know, it to me, at some point, it should be something.
There's no metaphysical aspect.
Yeah, exactly.
So there is no room for the spirit, like the soul that, you know, a
But
Christian
like,
might
what
appeal
would you
to.
explain to me about the soul? To me, the soul is still
physics,
has
yeah.
a base of physics.
Yeah, you're
like
right.
you know what I mean? Like,
No, I
don't
agree.
know.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, I know.
Because we're three physicists on a table. And
Maybe
like,
we need to
I know,
get
it's kind
someone.
of hard to have an argument.
Maybe
where
we
we're
have
be
to
all the
get
same view,
yeah.
right?
Okay. Next, we know next time we're gonna.
You're doing a good job, Joe. You're doing a good job. He's like, how can I think of a good argument for this that I don't believe, but I can still.
We have to invite a hard religious person over here, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So you explain to me then, like, I don't even really understand, like, what is this other view, like, of what the soul is. Like, what is the soul then?
Well, it's just something beyond your physical body, right? It's just like you plus the thing that makes you other than your body.
Right.
Whatever. That's pretty
Like,
vague.
you have a little Casper the Friendly Ghost inside of you, just.
But I'm like,
chilling
even
out.
anything outside of my physical body, there is, to me, out there is still physical.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, there will be a quantum field of, like, soul or something.
Sure. If you want to go crazy, okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to, like, make it like,
yeah.
Like, there should be a soul field somewhere.
Yeah, but then, yeah. If we're physicists, we're going to conduct an experiment to find the soul.
The soul field.
There should be a ghost particle or a soul particle or something, right? Everything should be measurable.
So then, in principle, would there ever be something such as a non-physical aspect to reality that cannot be described by physics that exists in our universe or multiverse or whatever? Is that even, like, conceivable?
I don't
possible?
think so, because then it's like, if it's non-physical, how does it interact with anything physical? As soon as you start interacting with something, it becomes physical.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it makes sense. The only non-physical thing you could say is just that it's outside of the universe, and then we can't measure it.
But then it
And
could
then
still
it's
be physical.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
you
like-
have to.
if
I'm
it's
just saying,
really
like, let's just
purely
imagine
unphysical.
if we were completely 100% permanently restricted to the universe only, then anything outside of it might as well just not exist. It's just.
I was about to say, it's like
So we could never know, and it wouldn't be relevant anyway, because we would never be able to.
But if we're experiencing soul, then to me, there's an interaction there, period.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't see how there cannot be an interaction somehow, somewhere, for you to have an experience of soul.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I mean. Where the consciousness matzo ball comes in, of like, because we don't fully understand that mechanism. Yeah, there is some, like, technically there's some wiggle room in there, but, you know, I agree with you that the consciousness should arise physically.
Yeah.
But let's say, let's say the soul field, okay, then it interacts physically, but you can never find, like, the physical correlate or something. It's like the precision of our machines will never reach what is necessary.
So it's like below the Planck length or something.
Something that makes it like very physically hard to conduct the
experiment. We only see the emergent behavior, but we would still see the emergent behavior though. So then we would still be able to get a name to it somehow.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have a theory that maybe matches up with the emergent behavior that you see,
but
you can like detect it like directly. It's like indirect detection.
We can't see quarks individually, and we barely see neutrinos interact with anything, right?
Yeah.
But just being able to see all of its relations to other objects that are physical, it carves out the shape of a neutrino in that theory, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like it's not really possible. Like
to me already, what you said, I'm already saying it's physical at that point.
Yeah, but it's mysterious now. Right?
Maybe you don't have the theory. Maybe you don't know exactly.
Dark matter.
You can't find it. Yeah. Dark
That's
there it
the
is. Soul.
That's the soul. We cracked it, guys. All right, that's the show. We solved it.
So dark matter is just all the dead people's souls hanging out.
I like it. I'm surprised I haven't gotten that conspiracy in the mail at some point.
Ghosts
from our lovely conspiracy fans.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always interested with the ghost thing too. Like a lot of people claim they've seen ghosts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
These dead bodies.
Was it like Gengar, a dark ghost?
Yeah.
And like, what's the guy haunting?
Yeah, Haunter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Ghastly.
We solved it. That's it, folks.
I don't know how Pokemon came in the mix, but okay.
Hey, Pokemon, they were ahead of their time. They knew. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, you're good, dude.
I like the show. But yeah, so, I turned a corner on religion. I think it's pretty cool now. Barring a few things, but it's all right. It's cool. I would like to be the first atheist to go to church. But then going to church sounds kind of lame. I don't want to go every Sunday at least. That's kind of one of the perks of being an atheist. You can't be an atheist and then go to church.
It's just that for me, it's like I already have so many things that I want to do.
Yeah.
And the community aspect like that, I find, and kind of the spiritual connection, I find that like in nature. So it's like I don't really need that. I have that in another way, So why am I going to spend extra time in something that?
Yeah, that you don't really have any tie to.
Yeah.
I can see that point. I think I kind of just wanted to do it for fun.
You should go and check it out. Why not?
And just be the atheist in church.
But it probably might get old.
It will get old. I'd rather do something like a charity or like you're saying, like something else to just bring myself closer to an existential goal somehow.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, and I view doing physics as like kind of spiritual actually too.
Yeah.
It's like in the way that Irene was talking about it, of like understanding the universe and me, I feel like brings me one, the sense of community that you're talking about. Two is like helps me reach
the autism community.
What?
I'm sorry, I had to.
The physics community.
Oh, okay. My bad. The Venn diagram's a circle there, I think, though. But go on.
The physics community. Okay. But totally derailed it. But anyways, just that like developing this deeper understanding of the universe, like I engage on like a level that I guess brings fulfillment and brings like self-actualization that you're talking about earlier, and like being able to connect pieces of like how my machine works and how this machine relates to every other thing in the universe. I find it's pretty powerful, and I would say it's probably the closest thing to spirituality in my life, so.
Yeah, I can see what you mean, and I definitely agree. But I think the one thing that's lacking that you can't get from physics is you don't get any kind of information on an ethical or moral framework.
No.
So I think to be fully complete in terms of spirituality, you have to have something there to remind you of that as well.
Yeah, I guess
at least something to give to your community or something to give back to your community. I mean, there's community in physics, but it's not like giving back to your community.
Yeah.
Solving a new equation is nice. I mean, you are giving back, I guess. But
well, I mean, like giving back in terms of educating people on this information that you have.
Okay.
It's giving back to the community. You're giving them knowledge. It's like, I don't know, one of the very important things.
I have to think there's like something different about it, because it's like that knowledge is not really useful to.
Well, it's not
any
scalable
people.
or
It's
generalizable to like the world at large.
Right.
But
I'm
like-
thinking of something that helps people directly in the now.
Like
to
when I used
survive
to
and
do the tutoring students, I would tutor them in physics. But a lot of times those physics discussions would lead to more like existential discussions, which then would lead to this whole exploration of self. And I feel like that was something I could tangibly see as helping my students, right?
Yeah.
And
True.
it's just something that like fit, like physics for me, thinking of things in terms of particle and energy interactions in a way that makes me feel closer to people and feel like that we're all coming from the same source.
Okay.
This pot of particles.
I can see
which
that.
could then integrate to maybe some nothingness. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, I just feel like that gives me a connection to people that then reminds me to be more empathetic towards people, and also gives me more connection to creatures around me, nature around me, and makes me want to care about that and care about everyone around me more.
Okay, that's a good point.
I mean, just being able to see the world in that way helps me have more empathy for the world and the creatures in it.
Interesting.
I don't know.
No, I agree.
Would you sit?
I would think that's a good counterpoint, really. I don't have a rebuttal.
Okay, I was just gonna say, what do you think about that?
I think that's accurate. I think that's good. Yeah, I agree.
And like
Yeah, I guess
sharing
the- I
that
guess
with
the
people
only-
is like what feels good.
Yeah, I guess the missing link for me would be, but you found it in that, is basically like just how many people you can help. It's like trying to reach as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So I guess just something where you're adopting some kind of help system that is like it scales, as you said earlier, Joe, like something that you're trying to scale and to reach as many people as you can. And that usually is like something that needs to be accessible then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you need to just try to figure out how to make it more accessible. And you can
Yeah.
do that with teaching, like you're saying, like talking about the cool, more fundamental, like, the heavy hitting questions of physics, let's say, that kind of people can grab onto real easily, and, they can learn something new from it. So
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree as well.
I mean, I'm not trying to convert people
there's a
to
lot of
physics,
agreement here.
I don't try to. I just want to give people information.
Yeah. Well, you can't really convert someone to physics. I mean, it's here whether you want it or not.
Well,
it ain't going nowhere.
no, I think you can convert people. If there's people with lots of wackadoo,
You're right.
Beliefs.
I guess you're right.
and so
I mean-
bringing them on board is going to definitely take some
I guess
convincing.
You're right. Yeah. I did have a debate with some guys one time about religion when I was in PhD.
Okay.
They came up to me one time when I was like at the, I think I just got some Subway or something, and the guy was like, can I talk to you for a second? I think he thought I was Muslim. And I was like, he's like, I want to talk to you about religion. I'm like, yes.
But were they trying to convert? Were they religious people trying to convert
they're
you?
Christian guys that were trying to convert me. And and then they tried to tell me about God, word of God and stuff, and I'm like, here's my time. And I went off on the LHC and all this shit, and then they just didn't even know what to say. They were just like,
About the
okay.
LHC?
Yeah, because I was trying to tell him the standard of evidence.
Oh,
Because I
okay.
wanted to prove to him, to give him an example of like what the standard for a physicist's evidence is, and why I'm not really convinced by his arguments. And I taught him about Six Sigma, how they have to find 6 billion, times you have to statistically basically find the Higgs boson particle. And then he just was, I think he didn't know how to rebuttal that.
Did they just turn around and walk away?
No,
or?
they were interested. They kept asking questions,
Oh,
but I
okay,
think they
that's
just
good.
didn't know what else to attack, what other angles to attack.
So you ended up converting them.
They were interested in learning more. That was my goal, was to get them to want to probe deeper into the physics
That's good.
explanation. And I think they were definitely interested, because it probably was not something they were used to, at least coming across in a debate setting about religion.
Yeah. So you love when people like try to
Yeah, of course.
given the opportunity to like
Yeah, man.
debate people on this.
Yeah, I fucking love debating. Are you kidding me?
Are you on the debate team?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's fake debating to me because that's like I don't like structure. Like I don't like school stuff like that because they always mess it up. They make it dumb. So with debate team, what they do is they make the way you win a debate team is you do a fire hose. So you just spray people with a fire hose of information and you try to overload them with arguments. And basically you try to make it so that they have to try to answer all of your arguments and then it runs out their time.
Yeah.
So it's like people gamify it to where it's dumb. I like actually debating because it's more interesting. Like I'm trying to actually, one, of course, hone my debate skills and make sure all of my logic is tight. You know, you got to make sure that is, and it's like you know when you're sparring, a sparring person, you know, you cover up your pad so they don't hit your points, and you can get a better feel of how your defense is or whatever, or even your offense. And then number two, it's just fun. You know, debating is fun because you kind of learn more about how someone else's perspective is. They might even come up with a new argument you didn't hear before, and then your logic is even tighter. So for me, it's really the main aspect of the debate I like so much is that it refines my own positions, and then I also understand other people's positions a lot better. So then it further refines it. So I could debate for forever. Like it's part of my my wheelhouse.
Okay, yeah. So we'll definitely have to get a very religious person on here, and then we'll have to moderate.
I love it, and I don't care about the confrontational aspects, and I don't have to win a debate either. I would love to lose a debate, but it doesn't ever happen, you know.
Oh damn!
I'm just joking.
All right, man. We'll see.
All right, yeah.
It's like good Eigenbros.
He's throwing down the
here.
gauntlet.
No, I love it. It's fun. You know, it's just like sport to me. You know, don't you think, or do you disagree, or?
Yeah, I used to be super into like argumentation and debate and stuff, but I guess I kind of chilled out as I've gotten older.
It's not even worth it, huh?
I mean,
or you just don't have the interest, really.
Yeah, it's just like, I guess I just don't view it as like I guess I do agree that I enjoy learning more about my thought process and like the source of like my beliefs and like exploring that further, and potentially talking with people and like learning more at the same time. But a lot of times debates just don't feel that productive is the problem.
Yeah.
It just feels like
there's a lot of that, like where it's just I'm trying to convince you of my position, you're trying to convince me of your position, and then no one's really listening to each other or trying to steel man arguments. Yeah. If people are doing straw man debates and shit with me, I don't care. Yeah. I will never even debate. I'll just immediately stop because I don't care anymore about that.
Right.
Like exactly. The people who I debate now are the ones who actually want to have good faith arguments, and they steel man their positions, or they steel man their opponent's positions. You know, and they try to actually make the most sophisticated arguments towards your position. Yeah. I don't do the dumb low level debates anymore. Like, you know, you'll have like Richard Dawkins debating some fucking crazy religious guy. It's just like that to me is stupid. It's not fun. Yeah, I agree. It's just a waste of time. Yeah. It just seems like an opportunity to like dunk on someone. Yeah, right? It's really just for an audience to be like, hey guys, look at me. I'm owning this guy. And then whether you're right or not, as long as you just get enough shit, then it looks like that person won, and then they feel like they got credit. You know, it's like the Ben Shapiro dunks on the liberals, you know, it's like that kind of it's just goofy to me. I don't care. Yeah, so mainly I just don't really have the patience for it. I'm just like, you know, you could believe whatever crazy stuff you want, but it's only unless like I really care about the person and I'm like, okay, like I gotta try to like their mind, try to lift them up and like, you know, give them some of the tools that I've learned. Like if it hasn't really happened in my life that I could think of. But if, like, hypothetically, someone close to me was a flat earther, then I'd probably get at it I got a buddy who's flat earther. He tries to tell me shit all the time.
Okay, yeah.
And tell me that there's aliens in the center of our Earth, and
yeah, I must really care about them because I'm already exhausted just here. I'm just like, okay, I'm just like all constructing all the evidence and arguments against it. I'm just like, I don't have.
Yeah, it's like there's not enough time in the day. There's just so much.
Yeah, but that's cool, man. Yeah, I mean, the fact that you invite these people to come throw down with you.
Yeah, I invite anyone to question anything. Yeah. I don't like authoritative things at all. Like I have a respect. I'll say I have a respect for credentials and hierarchy, but I have a very loose respect for it. So if people start trying to pull their fucking rank or pull their credentials or pull their authoritarian whatever bullshit, I mean, that shit's out the window for me. I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all on, can you present your facts? Can you debate your positions? Do you understand your logic properly at a high level? Then I respect that. And I think you don't need credentials or authoritative arguments to be able to do that. So to me, I'm like, if you want to debate physics or whatever, by all means, I don't care who you are. You can have a sophisticated argument. You could be, 70 years old. You can be 6 years old. I don't care. Like, just come with how you think. And if you have a good argument and good positions and want to debate, I'm all for it.
All right. Well, we'll see if anyone takes you up on that offer.
I'm sure they will. People love to argue online.
Yeah. But so I'll open up the floor. Is there anything you guys want to talk about? Anything else? I don't know. I didn't have that. Like I said, I had no plans of like what's going down today. So.
I just want to say, Eigen Bros is not coming back. So any Eigen Bros listeners, don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, you want to talk about that for a second, or
sure?
So
it's just that Juan is across the country, and Zoom podcasts suck, so we can't do it. But if
do they really suck that bad? Let me speak for the bros.
Yeah, I don't like them. Personally, I just don't. I have never wanted to watch a Zoom podcast. Every time I see a Zoom podcast, I immediately turn it off.
Oh, right.
So for me, if I'm not enjoying that, then I just feel like
I see
it's not worth it for even the audience because I don't like them.
Because we just do audio, right? So like, because you want the video, right?
Well, I would watch. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why, yeah, because I don't listen to audio podcasts.
Right. So it's like sometimes I listen to podcasts and I wouldn't know the difference, potentially.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that. I don't know. But still, it's like we're across the country.
Eigen Bros is coming back.
Question mark. Don't get people's hopes up. The 5 people that care probably.
I gotta give the bros some hope, dude.
Yeah,
it's my job.
Well, if Juan moves back, then there's a possibility. But if he's not, then I don't think so. I think it's a nil possibility.
You're not gonna go visit him out there and just bang out?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
if he visits or if I visit or whatever, then maybe But they'd be seldom.
Oh, okay. So it's not you say it's dead, like it's final, like there's a gravestone, but it sounds like out of convenience, it's not very likely.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not going to be like a regular weekly show. It's not going to be like I'm putting out social media content and all that stuff.
Okay.
So that's what I consider dead. When it's random, it's just.
Our show's been a little random, but I wouldn't say it's dead.
Okay, but you guys have always kind of had that frequency anyway.
Yeah.
We did a hard shift now, so our frequency has changed so dramatically. I consider it like for now, since we have that frequency, now it's dead because it doesn't have the same frequency.
Relatively, right?
Yeah,
it's not dead. It's just sick. Might be in the hospital.
Okay, all right, we'll give that. It's on. It's in a
life
coma
support for sure.
Yeah,
it's in a coma, but it might come back.
Maybe it might open an eye, but then it's gonna go back to in the coma.
You might see God. I don't know.
Do you want to tell the audience or like what you're up to nowadays, or do you?
No.
Okay.
Right. Oh, I can tell them that I'm in engineering.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's it.
Okay, because
because I don't want crazy people.
Yeah, I think the last time we talked,
I don't like fame or notoriety
attention
at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it means you open the door to crazies, you know?
Okay.
So I just,
play that one close to the chest.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fine. Okay. But
So you're still using, though, physics?
Hmm?
You're still using physics in
Yeah.
your job now?
Yeah,
So.
very heavily.
Mm-hmm.
Very heavily. Yeah. Although I'm not a physicist,
well, I mean,
which is good because I get paid like an engineer. Yeah.
physicists get paid badly.
Yeah, generally, I'd say.
Okay.
In general, if you want to talk about academic,
Well, I'm talking about
like
it.
pure physics,
Hmm.
because if you're talking about academia, I mean, they probably top out at like 100.
Yeah, I mean around
Top
there.
out 80 to 100, and that takes so long. So you got to get tenure. It's like
Mm-hmm.
No, the professors make over. They make 6 figures.
Yeah.
100.
100 something.
Could be
Not just
100.
100.
Yeah.
110,
110,
120.
120. But that's your top.
Yeah.
That's your
It's
ceiling.
absurd to think that's the top because of how much work they have.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's the amount of work you put in for that is not worth the amount you're getting out.
Yep.
So your salary does not really match your effort. You go through a shitload of hoops and hurdles. You're
So
gonna be
what's the
doing-
point? Why do people do it?
You have to do it for the
Love
love
the
of the game. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good salary and it's a lot of freedom, though. So it's great if you want to do it. But if you're talking just monetary reward, I mean, it's not it. Engineer gets paid way better.
Yeah, when people say that there is a lot of freedom, I hear that a lot, and like part of it makes sense to me and part of it doesn't make sense. It's like, as an engineer, like, it's what's the experience like? Like your boss says, "Oh, go do this," and you just go do that, or like
I do whatever I want at my job.
So that's not freedom?
It is, but it's also unusual probably because I work at a smaller company. That's I'm already giving too much away.
okay, I could bleep out anything you want. But
Yeah, well, that's okay. You can leave it in.
yeah, but yeah, just because when I think about like what it is to be a professor, it's like freedom isn't the first word that comes to my mind. It's like
Bureaucracy is the
even if
first,
you're
the top.
tenured, it's like you still like have to publish or perish and teach and do all this other bullshit.
And the bureaucracy thing takes up so much time that's like you don't even have free time to do the research you want to do.
I guess you're right. Maybe freedom's not the best word. Maybe it's just
it's just
some
lots of
wiggle room. I guess.
Yeah, a lot of people say freedom. So what do they mean by freedom?
Yeah, everyone
That's a good
says
question. I assumed it was just like you can kind of choose hours sometimes. Like you can work evenings or you can work mornings or whatever, which is kind of free.
It's like a flexibility in the
Yeah,
schedule.
like time wise, I guess. Because like with most jobs, like out in the normal industry world, like you're gonna have to get up at a 9 to 5. You have to do that kind of thing, 5 days a week. Whereas physics, you can like, I can't have class today because I gotta go to sabbatical or I gotta go somewhere. We're here or whatever.
Yeah,
It feels a little bit more free in that sense, I guess.
Yeah,
You could say,
but we have that
classes are at 6 p.m. or something.
we have that freedom now.
yeah, we have that.
Right.
The flexibility is really nice. I do appreciate that. But
Right, and
then the pay is low.
In the work world and industry, it's like you have set vacation days, set sick days, and that's it.
yeah,
And if you miss those, or if you use them, then you're out.
See, I just have no idea what I'm gonna do with my life because I can't fit into anything. Like I can't do the regular schedule. I need the flexibility. But then this other track, the culture of academia, does not work well for me either.
I know, but there's no golden ticket in life. That's the shitty thing. You just have to try to find whatever is the closest to whatever you think your golden ticket is.
So I'm gonna have to pave my own road then.
Yeah, that's the other option. Pave your own road, but then that's also not a golden ticket either because that means hell for. That's no freedom. Like if you're talking like start your own business, that's like 80-hour work weeks now, 100-hour work weeks, because being a business owner is shit.
Maybe I don't want that either then.
Right. So
she's going to fourth dimensional.
Yeah. Oh shit. Damn. She's in a new. Yeah, that's a new level. I don't know about that. But yeah, I feel like there's no golden ticket. It's just. I mean, unless you
Live
like
off
win
the
lottery
land.
or something.
Van-
live off the land.
van
That's pretty
life.
cool. But then
Van
if you
life
get,
off the land
if
in
you
the
get in an
forest.
accident, you've got no health insurance. Then
I'll have to move to another country, one where there's universal health care.
okay.
Hey, that might be the ticket.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I mean, it's just what it is. That's life. There's no perfect thing. But there's an optimal state, I think. You know, like if you're, working a nice, cushy government job, middle class. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, I don't think. You know, if you can make 6 figures, middle class lifestyle, 9 to 5. That's pretty close to a golden ticket.
Yeah, 9 to 5 is the
know,
problem for me. 9 to 5 is like.
I know it's not your golden ticket.
Yeah.
I really need flexibility. I think that's
Yeah.
actually the most important thing for me is that like
okay.
if I just
Time-wise.
want to go off and do some adventure for a month, 2 months, 3 months, that's okay. And I don't
It's
know
hard
what
to
kind of
do.
job you're gonna be able
You
to
can
do.
maybe do that in Europe because they have a lot more vacation days, depending where you're at. Like I've got a buddy who's got 47 days of vacation.
Or even if I can go on the road and work on the road.
Yeah,
I have no problem with that,
there
you know?
go.
If you teach high school, you can get summers off. But the rest of the year is kind of
Yeah, it's
Nasty.
It's a definite like
Freelance
always
physicist right there.
yeah,
I
maybe.
wish that was a thing. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that'll be my thing.
We'll do
That's what I'll
physics
start.
for
I forget what podcast was I listening to. I was telling Irene there is something out there like that. I don't know if it was Eric Weinstein or
Freelance physicist.
no. It's like someone had this house out in Southern Cal.
Oh, Garrett Lisi.
Maybe.
He's
It's
like
like a commune, right? A
Yeah,
physicist.
Garrett Lisi has like his like theorist compound because
Yeah.
he made an investment or something in stocks and got a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And he's the guy that did the E8, the E8 model for the theory of everything. You've seen
okay,
that?
okay.
It was like way back in the days when it was like the first TED Talks.
Uh-huh.
And he's like a surfer guy.
Yeah. Yeah, you knew.
Yeah, of course. That was part of the Eric Weinstein universe, so I had to know.
But I'm saying that kind of fits that model a little bit. I don't know if you'll get in with that crowd, but
Yeah, that means you got to make some good stock decisions, or you better do something with crypto.
Why?
Well, then
I'm
it's
just gonna
just-
go over there. They're there physically. I'll just
Okay.
meet them up.
Okay, you go beat him up.
No, meet
Oh.
them up, not beat
I
them
thought you were gonna
up.
beat him up and take his compound. I'm like, damn, Irene. Okay.
No, I don't. I'm
I
not
think
violent.
Garrett Lisi's actually kind of in shape. He's a surfer. So
No, I'm not a
it'd be a
violent
tough
person.
fight.
I don't get in through violence, okay? I get in through kindness.
Yeah, you can maybe get in there.
Start baking them some cookies, some
There you go.
treats.
Yeah,
But-
I'm sure they would
And
appreciate
they'll
that.
want me hanging around. Then I'll be like, oh, yeah, I have this idea. I'll start showing them some.
But if you get the stocks or the crypto, then it's like that's the true goal. If you just get
Yeah.
money, if you just get like
Yeah.
airlifted,
Right, money solves everything. If you get a wad of cash, then
Then
now
you can
do
just
whatever
live
the
off of
fuck you
money,
want.
and
Yeah,
then you
exactly.
just
And
do
then
whatever you
physics
want.
all day. Yeah, or anything.
just go win a Mr. Beast show or something. Mr. Beast challenge.
Yeah, he always gives away random money, right?
Yeah.
You're bound to get something. Helping starving physicists.
Yeah.
I'm helping 1,000 starving physicists. That's the next Mr. Beast video.
Yeah, please.
Thank you,
You're
Mr.
listening,
Beast. I
Mr.
can finally
Beast.
eat.
System's so fucked, dude. The fact that we give him all that power. Just anyways, but yeah, I did have a question for you. I don't know if it's too close. Tell me whether or not you want to answer it. Is
Sure.
Now that you're free of the grad school life, right? If that's okay to say, then
Yeah. I am.
how do you view your time in grad school? Is it like, is there any no regrets? Hashtag no regrets, or you feel like if you were to go back, you'd do it differently, or like just skip all the bullshit, or
Interesting question, and I will answer it. I say no regrets.
okay,
I feel like this is just the life path I was on, and I gained a shitload of knowledge that I would not have gotten otherwise from graduate school. I got to refine the fuck out of my physics skills, which was really the goal in the first place. So I knew that's kind of, how I make decisions. I weigh kind of what the cost to benefit is going to be. And, I'm the 80-20 principle guy,
Yeah.
That's how I try to live. I live my life by that. So
80-20 was that?
So you put in 20% of the effort for 80% of the return.
Oh, okay.
So I knew that with the physics graduate school track, I would gain the most out of my time from the first few years of physics. So for me, the last few years of physics in PhD is not going to be that. I don't feel like yields that much of a return. I would get the ability to write a thesis, and be able to have that skill of writing under my belt, which I feel like I'm lacking on that. Like it's still kind of hard for me to get writing. I'm not good at writing consistently. So that's one skill that I think I'm lacking, but it's not so bad because I can kind of learn that over time, I think. But I gained that 20%, that 80-20, I gained that 20 from just doing the classes, which is what I really wanted to do. Refine my quantum skills, refine my mechanics skills, refine my stat mech, all that. And I got to do that to the highest level I wanted to. So I was very satisfied with that. And of course, meeting all the people, you guys and all of my friends here now. I mean, it's another huge win. So I mean, that
and
to me,
Eigen Bros.
Exactly. So all that stuff to me is well worth going to graduate school, and it didn't cost me a dime. And I got a house during that time. So like to me, it was just nothing but wins. Even though I left, that was just to me was just the time to go.
Yeah.
So for me, the credentials are never really a part of my decision making process. I don't care so much about the paper or whatever it may be, because I mean, unless I feel like I really benefit from it, like a bachelor's degree was important because it's just like that's kind of like to me almost feels like the high school diploma of today. Like you got to have a bachelor's if you're going to be in a
Whatever.
if you're going to be like in any kind of industry setting or corporate or whatever. So I needed the degree on that. But PhD still is kind of a premium degree. So I knew I didn't really, really need it. If I have the skills, I mean, people are going to come calling, right? If you got
And
the
you have
skills,
the masters.
you can pay the bill. I don't. I never got mine. Because remember, I would have had to take 2 classes over.
Oh, yeah. Okay, never mind. Right.
Can't get B minuses. But I didn't care. At that point, I was so not giving a shit. Yeah. But literally, I have a job that I would have the same if I had a PhD. Yeah. It's literally the same stuff I was doing in graduate school. So I feel like I actually kind of leapfrogged.
Yeah.
I actually feel like I maximized my return.
Yeah.
I got everything I wanted.
Yeah. So
I got the knowledge, I got the job, I got a house, I got friends, I got everything I wanted, and I leapfrogged the system. So I feel like I actually still beat the system again. Yeah,
and from the outside, that's kind of I think you've been consistent in like how you've talked about like how you felt leaving and stuff like that. And so the thing I'm wondering is, we have a lot of people on this show and like about people who are in similar situations about like who end up getting kicked out or like whatever. Your co-host, right, is one of them, right? Yep. I think there's like,
Master Wong.
Yeah. There's a little bit of like resentment or bitterness or like some internalized things about like what it says about them that they couldn't cut it or whatever. And it seems like that doesn't bother you at all. And so I guess I'm wondering if you have any advice for them or like, what do you think's different about you that, or your experience that made it so that, I came in, I got exactly what I wanted. I didn't get the paper, but who cares, Like,
yeah. I don't know, man. It's hard to tell, just really say or speak for someone else, but it's just how I've always lived my life is I have never cared about credentials or anything like that. To me, it's always like, what do you actually do? What skills do you possess? How do you think? Like, I just care about the person. I don't care about whatever surrounds them. So then if I care about other people, it's like, I don't care that about myself. Anyone can come and question me about anything. And it's just like, if you're smart or if you're logical or if you can do things and have skills, like that to me is everything.
Yeah.
The paper is just like it's just like if you care about checking boxes and just making sure that, the paper is useful, right? Don't get me wrong. I don't want to diminish it. I feel like I'm talking so bad about it. I'll lift it up a little bit. So the paper is useful. Like if you want to know if someone can complete the job, that's huge. They stuck it out. They did it. Massive respect. You completed the job. That's humongous. But other people, it might be you got the skills to do it. That's good enough. Like, I don't need a paper to tell me that. But the paper is kind of a nice assurance policy that you can see things through to the end. You can get the job done. I respect that hugely. It's just that for me, I've always known what I want, and I want the real aspects, and I've always wanted to try to get the maximum return from my investment. I've never done well in systems that were very rigid, so I knew that I have to operate out of them in some sense. So I just make my own criteria of I want this, this, and this, and if I get that satisfied, I'm gold. And I guess if someone else is feeling bad about it, then that means that they had something invested in it. Like they feel like they maybe failed because that was a goal of theirs to get the paper. Maybe. I don't know. For me, the paper was not a goal.
From the beginning.
So it never affected me. It's a matter of, I guess, what your goals are.
Yeah. Yeah. So to me, that comes across as like maybe a confidence or like a self-assuredness, and that like whatever happens, you're gonna be fine.
Yes.
You know, and like where does that come from? You think?
Let me think. So I think it's just because I have always been able to feel confident that I'm going to be able to solve any kind of problem, I guess. As long as I feel like I have a semblance of control, I feel like I have a shot at figuring it out. And I think that anything at the end of the day is my fault if it can't be realized. Like, I feel like if it means I just wasn't clever enough then. So, oh well, you failed. But you can learn from that lesson. It's another thing to learn. But I guess it's just the fact that I feel like I have a lot of control in my day-to-day life. So you can always do something about it. What was that?
Oh, shit. Did the thing stop?
I think it might have.
Oh, I don't know what happened. Okay. Whatever. Don't worry about this thing.
It's good? Okay.
Well, this thing's fine, but I don't know what's up with this. This is a test for the transcription. Okay. We'll see how that goes. I don't know.
But yeah, I guess it's just the fact that I think that I have dealt with enough situations in my life. I've dealt with enough different things. I've had a lot of life experiences that I feel like I'm comfortable handling almost anything now. And I always am trying to find new or novel situations that I can understand. Like, I just try to understand as much about the world as possible. And with that, I feel like it makes me more confident to be able to handle anything. It's just like you get over a certain threshold in life. I feel like at 25 is when I really hit that stride. There's something about the age of, like, once you get past that existentialist hump, you know, where you're like, I don't know how, I would imagine this is kind of a human experience where you kind of go through this dark phase of just like, you know, what is my place in the universe? Like, the world is scary as fuck. Like, can I actually handle the world? Like, you start to see real shit happen, like people dying that you know and things like that, like dark stuff, to where you start to really contemplate your mortality and just your place in the universe. And then I think once I got over that, it was like I felt like I could literally do anything. You just cross that threshold where you're just like, I can literally handle anything. You feel like, it's like I made a transition to where I feel like I was part of the world, not just someone who was experiencing it, if that makes sense. Like, like I could see myself running a government now. I could see myself, you know, running a multi-billion-dollar business. Yeah, it's probably an insane idea to just jump into that, but I could see a path towards that now, just from having the life experience I have now. So nothing really feels scary anymore in that sense, and I feel like I can accomplish anything. And physics helps with that too. We're universal problem solvers. Yep. We are built to solve problems, and I think any problem can be framed in that way. That fundamental first principles logical thinking of physics, you should be able to figure anything out.
Yeah, that is a powerful tool that we get for sure.
Yeah, I think it's like the most powerful tool. With the physics, it was like that was it. I mean, that took me to the edge of just like, there's literally no hard enough problem. Like, there's hard problems, But almost 99% of other problems are not hard compared to that. Like, okay, yeah, solving the Riemann hypothesis, that's hard. But like everything else in life, like there's always a way you can figure out how to solve it. You just have to apply the first principles thinking, and that all the tools and elements you've learned in physics, just apply it. I mean, would you agree or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I
right.
would say I
Okay.
definitely apply that to self too.
Yeah.
Which is how,
Yeah.
feel like you can grow a lot more quickly when you're applying those steps
Right.
to solving your own internal problems, whatever is going on, right? Understanding yourself and then rebuilding yourself the way that you want.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, one thing I'm curious about is how you got over that existential hump of like the world's a scary place, and you know, I don't know if I'm cut out, if I could make it or whatever. Like,
Well, I took the bold approach to just push further, deeper
into what?
into staring into the abyss, I guess you could say. Like you look at the world and you see what are all the dark aspects of it. You know, I thought about my mortality every day. How would it feel to die? Like all these super dark things. And I just was like, you just have to push through it. And eventually you just tear yourself down to such a level where you're like, all you can go is upward. And then you have to say, you know, it's almost like you push so deep, you go through to the other side.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, you've seen the darkest level. Now it's almost like everything else is simple or easier. Everything else, the light is clear. You know, and you build yourself back up to where you're now familiar with, you know, like you're so familiar with knowing the state of like what your mortality is and just how you would feel. You know, it's hard to explain. It's like you just know the darkness at such a level that now you can see the light in everything. It's hard for me to even paraphrase it. I'm trying to think of a good way to say it. But I just remember just the world just being so scary at some point where it's just like it was overwhelming to the point where I just pushed through so deep that it's like now I just understand that, you know, everything in this world is actually good and things have been constructed in such a way that, I mean, I think we as humans have done an extremely good job at getting to where we've gotten. Like the world could be so much worse. Like just think about like, you know, how it must have been back in the fucking prehistoric times where you can see your grandmother getting eaten by a fucking saber tooth. Like it's just such dark shit. Like how the fuck did we get from that to like now we're complaining about what iPhone game, you know, the iPhone store is charging $2 for this fucking game. It's like it doesn't matter. Like if you have perspective on like just how dark and shitty the world could actually be compared to how great it is now, it's like you can surpass anything. It's like even now, even in modern times, like there's like children in Africa who are fucking literally have malnutrition, you know, haven't even eaten in 13 days, and it's like, what the fuck am I gonna complain about? I have no reason to complain about anything. Like, who gives a shit about if my graduate school life is hard? Like, this kid's literally starving on a fucking island. You know? It's like, I think it's just perspective, man. I guess that's what it is at the end of the day. When you see the darkness of the world and how bad things really could be, it's like you realize, like, just how fucking, you know, we are so lucky to be where we are, just like in this time period in America. Like we have it all, man. We're extremely lucky.
Yeah, so it sounds like this deconstruction sounds a bit external, right? It sounds a bit like you said you stared into the darkness of the world, right? Of like not being afraid of seeing the world for what it is and finding the light in the dark, right? Finding the moments, the good things that could exist in the world, despite, you know, all the shitty stuff that can happen around. I found in my own life that my experience has been, if I were to generalize it, is a little bit more internal, of like deconstructing myself to like a very extreme degree of being afraid, like being unable to like look into myself and like feeling like I can't stare and potentially face the fact that like I'm like a piece of shit, you know, that like I'm not good enough, or like I'm not worthy enough or whatever, unless I reach the summit of Mount Everest or whatever, then I'm good enough, right? And so my sense of peace finally started to come about in a similar way of like being unafraid, or being brave in the face of the fact that I am terrified to like go in and be like, okay, why am I so scared of this? Where does this come from? Like, does this, like, how can we unravel this thing, and how can I understand it to eventually become a better person and, you know, find the light in the dark? And
Interesting.
it sounded like there was a bit of that for you with like facing your mortality. Like I do that with myself too. I still struggle a bit with that, with death anxiety, but I do that as well. But
Do you still feel it?
feel the death anxiety?
Yeah.
Not as bad as it's been in the past, but yeah, a little bit sometimes.
I feel like it's almost vanished for me.
Yeah.
It used to be way more palpable.
Yeah. Yeah, same for me. Yeah.
And I'm not and I think it was just because I thought about it so much.
Yeah.
But I can't guarantee that. So I don't know if I would recommend it. Because it was truly a dark period of my life, for sure.
Yeah.
But I remember feeling it so badly that I was like just always, it was a focus of my mind constantly. But I just always pushed through, because that was my philosophy, was you push through the darkness. I don't know how I came to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Or why I came to that conclusion, but sometimes I guess I just come to conclusions maybe not even knowing why.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought of my life as a science experiment. You know, I've always thought of myself as like I'm an experiment that is either going to fail horribly or is going to go well, or maybe it could be something in between. But it's like, I feel like it's like, you know, I guess I just commit to something and just say,
Let's see what
let's
happens.
hope this is correct.
Yeah.
Let's hope this is the correct decision. And maybe sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But, you know, you have to just keep trying, and I guess just see what the fuck you can learn from it. And if, you know, you make a misstep or something, try to correct it. I mean, I guess we're all kind of lab experiments, though, in some sense, you know? It's just maybe I'm more conscious of it, because I remember just having the thought that I am a science experiment.
Helps.
Maybe that does. Maybe being the conscious helps it. You know, because I feel like consciousness gives you kind of a control. Yeah. Because you're like, I made the decision. I am conscious of the decision. Therefore, I feel in control. Maybe that's I don't know if it's a good thing. It's
I
just
feel
how
like in a
operate,
way
I
that
guess.
helps you be less judgmental towards yourself, because you're saying,
Yeah,
you know,
I do
because
feel
it's
that.
a science experiment. It's like there's not some judgment on the outcome. It's like this is just the outcome of the experiment.
Right. And I think I do have less judgment on myself, because I do kind of see it as, I just don't think it's productive to judge yourself too harshly, because I think we're all kind of lost in this universe. There's no such thing as a person who has it figured out. It's just that maybe some people look better, like they have it under control more so than others, but not in reality. It's just how they manifest externally. You know, we all kind of have these inner battles and inner turmoil that just you will never see. Yeah, because we don't see people's insides. You know, we see people's external always. So some people just manifest as stoicism better, but I think everybody's, you know, turbulent on the inside at some level.
I just feel like if we allowed that to come out a little bit more, so that it was more visible and people would know more about that like collectively as a group we could manage that better, that turbulence, you know. But we don't societally, that's not like a norm, you know?
Well, because I think it's insecurity a lot of times, because that inner turmoil is a vulnerable spot.
Yeah, of course.
And then of course you got, I hate judgment. When people judge others and they make, like, why would you do that? And like, are you dumb or something? It's like, that's why people don't do it.
But you
Because
can't
I hate
build
that feeling of
that
like
empathy.
looking stupid in front of
Yeah,
someone.
but you can't build empathy without allowing people to be vulnerable. Like, once they allow you to be vulnerable, then you can connect with the people, and then there's more empathy and there's less judgment overall.
But
over
100%.
But you have to trust that the community is going to be there to like catch you
Yeah.
Right.
when you are vulnerable.
And that's not
It's
always
like
obvious.
the circle that it's like.
Yeah.
Because some people look for that as a means to exploit people or to gain
Yeah.
power. Like, people use, like, not everybody has the best intentions. Back
Yeah.
to the darkness of the world. Like, some people want to make you feel stupid or dumb so they can make themselves feel smart and superior. So there's always this battle between, finding the right people around you and finding who you trust to be able to do that kind of thing and be more vulnerable about your weaknesses or your flaws or whatever they may be, or whatever you're feeling inside, I guess. And trying to evolve yourself and evolve the people around you, and having everybody kind of be able to understand each other better. But as long as you have that judgment and those negative reactions and things, like, society as a whole, it's always going to be that reservation, because it is so common. The judgment and the shaming and all that kind of stuff, that's like the easy go-to. People do it so often, and I think that's why people don't get there to get to that position. So I guess early on for me, I just kind of said, fuck it all. I think also a fact of my fuck it attitude is the fact that I had such a conflicting views from people, just in terms of like, being a black male in society. Just when I was a kid, it's like you're automatically seen as he's shit. They would always put me in remedial shit in class. Luckily, my mom was a fucking psychopath. So every time they put me remedial stuff, she was like, no, he's out of that class or whatever it may be. They just immediately write you off.
They just put you in remedial class for no reason.
They just automatically assume. That would happen to me all the time. And it's like everything I would do when I was a kid. And my mom was always there to kind of be that backbone to make sure that shit didn't happen. So that gave me confidence, because my mom saw through the bullshit. And then my mom thought I was smart, and the people who are my family, I come from like I could say like an affluent black family where I have like lawyers and doctors in my family. So I would see that, and it was such a cognitive dissonance from what I would see, from like just mainstream where, black people are on the bottom, and, we're, poor neighborhoods and all that kind of thing. So I was very confused. I was like, so am I dumb or am I smart? I don't fucking know. I really didn't know. I was always confused, because a lot of people externally would think I'm stupid. They would say I'm stupid, I'm dumb, whatever. My family would say I'm smart. Oh, he's a genius. He's great. But I was like, okay, who's really right? Me being the science experiment, I'm like, let's test it. Maybe I'm dumb. Let's see. So I accept the premise. Maybe I am dumb. Let's see what happens. And so I go through the test of, am I dumb? I see.
So how did you test if you're dumb?
Well, I mean, it's like I'll go through a period of my life to see if I'm dumb. Maybe I am dumb. So people say I'm dumb. Okay, I can maybe accept that. Let's see. Am I? Maybe. How do I know? You have to test it to see. So I compare myself around the other kids, see what they know. Maybe if they know some things I don't, find maybe someone who's smart, or I perceive as smart, and say, okay, maybe I can say what do they know that I don't know. Learn about what they know, and then I'm like, okay, they see me as an equal. Talking to them, maybe I'm smart. So then I go through that. Maybe I am smart. It's just like I see myself in a science experiment. So I had a very detached view. I even have a conscious memory of saying that I didn't even like. There was a point in my life when I was a kid I didn't like interacting with people in a sense of biasing them, because I didn't want to bias the experiment. I did not want to. I have to see if I can explain it even correctly. It's like I like to see people's natural state so I can get an accurate picture of reality. So I didn't like biasing things. So I didn't like initiating like I didn't like initiating things or doing things. I like to just observe what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
so I can collect information on what is the accurate picture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, am I dumb? Am I smart? And that translates to other things too. It's like everything. I'm just trying to collect information to get the most accurate image. And then, of course, as I grow older, it's like, okay, I finally understand the answers, and then I can start biasing reality by actually interacting with it. But I went through a huge period of my life of just being an observer, just taking in information, understanding from people who I perceived as smarter than me or maybe better than me, better leaders, whatever. And then I took that information in, extracted what I thought was useful, and then now I'm at the point where I can finally live in the world.
So what's the result of this experiment? Are you smart or are you dumb?
I don't know if that's a good question.
That's a good question. That's a great question.
I don't think you should ever ask someone directly if they're smart or dumb.
I would never ask it.
I
Had he
think it's a
not
great
told this
question.
very specific story about how.
I think it's a great question. So
Inconclusive.
I would say most
Just kidding.
people in the world, at least I'll answer it this way. Most people in the world would say they're smart, but that's definitely not the case, right? Not everybody can be smart. I've more come to the conclusion that smart is kind of a dumb word because it means so many things.
Yeah.
Like I don't really find it valuable to ask it or to even sometimes question if someone's smart. I like to really say, like, what can I learn from this person, or what do they bring to the table?
Yeah.
Like I know people who would be considered dumb, but they're like the best like networkers or marketers, or like people who just could get together groups of people, or people who maybe are physically adept, you know, who are amazing at like surfing or amazing at basketball or something. And people would say, oh, they're academically dumb. But to me, it's like a useless distinction. It's like, okay, they don't do your one fucking specific thing that it's just like, oh, you could get a high IQ score. Like some of the biggest dumbasses on this planet I know have the biggest IQs. Like, you know, you got fucking Chris Langan. What's the guy? Fucking cosmic theory of the universe that he tries to use philosophy to disprove the Big Bang. He's got like a 200 IQ. It's like, who cares? You know, I know tons of people who would be high IQ. And they're dumbasses. So it's like, to me, it's almost like a useless thing. I hate the word smart, honestly.
Yeah.
I really don't like it. And I don't use it. Well, I guess I do use it. But really, I use it just in the sense that I know that in the colloquial sense, people will understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So they know what I'll say if I say that person's smart, that person's dumb.
So
but internally, it's a useless word to me.
So that experiment that you ran as a kid of am I smart or am I dumb? Sounds like it eventually reframed. And
Yeah.
and
It's kind of interesting. It's kind of like the first seeds of a physicist, right? Because it's like is that even the right question?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's all. Like people don't realize that, you know, in physics, it's about a lot of times just, are you asking the right question? So you start off with a shitty question a lot of times, do a bunch of work to figure out you know, your results, and then you get a whole other question that's a way better question.
Yeah.
And you know, that's kind of I guess that's kind of the first seeds of a physicist.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I was kind of born a scientist. I think we're all born scientists, though. Really.
Yeah.
You know,
I
a lot of us
agree.
just get shitted on to the point where we shut that part of our brain off because we either look dumb or we ask too many questions or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that happened to me a little bit.
I'm sure it did. It happens to everybody. It still happens to me to this day.
Yeah.
You know, people will fucking tell me, like, it's always dumb guys too, like the guys who don't want to think. They're like, you ask too many questions, you overthink things. Why are you asking so many questions? But now I just ignore it because I know I know my place so well in the world now, at least, that I know when to ignore information and to ignore people because I know they don't really understand. They just say from their limited framework that you need to be like this. It's like, okay. And I just move on with my day and just ignore it. So I feel like it's like my experimentation has been so good. I feel grounded now. Maybe that's why I feel pretty secure in my understanding of things, because the experiment was good. Or at least the experiment had a lot of useful data, let's say.
Yeah. Sounds like there was a lot of data.
Yeah.
You ran
There's a lot of data because, I mean, this thought that's been with me since I was at least in 5th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a
That
lot
was,
of-
I think, that was the most conscious moment I can remember. The shift of my life is a science experiment.
It's interesting. Yeah, I've never heard that before, but yeah, I'm sure there must be moments in my life probably that operate pretty similar,
Yeah.
but
I'm sure.
but never so consciously like framing my whole life as an experiment. Yeah, it's interesting. But how are you feeling? We're at hour 40. You want to call it, or
I think I've said enough. I've talked probably for an hour and 30 of those minutes. So,
Well,
What are you
you
gonna
are
do?
a guest star today, so
Okay.
yeah?
you get
Great.
the limelight. So I'm on you.
great.
All right,
All right.
cool. Nothing else.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we could talk forever, but we don't
Yeah.
have the time to talk forever. So
True.
we can always revisit more points. But
Yeah, I was just trying to keep it brief because I know, you're trying to go hit the club.
Yeah, what times do you guys normally do?
Oh, about
It's
this.
around
About
this
this.
time.
you
Okay.
know.
Around,
Yeah,
it's
I
usually
mean,
about 2
but it's
hours.
flexible. If you want to do more, I mean, I'm down for whatever. I don't know. I'm just shooting the shit at this point. I'm just,
Okay.
I got no plans.
Okay. Okay. Well, what about you? Let's
Okay.
say
So yeah. What about me?
do you have any moments like that where you're like maybe you have an unusual shift when you were a child and how you perceive the world? Like an enlightened moment of consciousness where you're just like, this is a turning point?
Mine's not as pretty as yours. Basically, yeah, it led me down a dark path for a while. It's like I struggled with like nihilism hardcore when I was like, I think around 7. At some point, I just like looked around. What 7? I'm in 2nd grade then, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
I look around. I feel like the universe is meaningless. This is all pointless. What the fuck are we? Well, I wouldn't say that, but whatever. What the fuck are we doing here?
It's the same feeling.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, and I look around and I see all these kids' faces, and I'm just like, they don't get it. I could tell that like a thought like this is not coming across any 7-year-old's mind, and it was pretty like, I guess, alienating. And so I'm like, what do I do with this information? I feel like I got this big old like seed of knowledge in my head, and I can't share it with anyone because they don't get it. They don't. I don't think they even have a framework for it or something. And yeah. So I mean, I struggled with nihilism and shit like that for a long time. I still wrestle with it, nowadays, but it bothers me less. I guess I just, we talk about it often, but it's just like, just kind of accepting it, just eventually looking into that darkness and being like, okay, it's meaningless, and that's okay. And, and, if that's the structure of the universe, then so be it. Let's just try and have a good time anyways.
Well, I've kind of actually find some. I've actually found. What would you call it? Like I found the
Comfort.
positive. Yeah, comfort. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
I found comfort in the nihilism now, in some sense that the universe, nothing matters. Because
Yeah.
to me, it's like since nothing really matters in the long term. Actually, it's kind of like everything matters now.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense, it's like it almost does the opposite thing, where it's like, oh, since it doesn't matter in the long term, I have complete freedom to just everything I do right now impacts the world in the most meaningful way that it can impact. Because it's like a billion years from now, or like when the universe is gone, like it doesn't matter anyway. So like everything you're doing now is really the time. Like this is the shit.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a blessing that everyone who's born gets to live in the time where it's relevant that everything they do matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess that
Okay.
makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. We live in a special time in the universe for sure. Have you seen that movie, Everything Everywhere, all at once?
I haven't yet. I heard it's trippy as fuck though.
It's very similar to this conversation.
Okay.
About like nihilism and how if nothing matters, then what, then does this moment matter and so on.
Right.
So anyways, if you like this type of stuff, that's a wreck. But yeah, I mean, I struggle with those types of, I struggle with how to like make sense of it. I go in circles, but, I don't know if that answers the question, but that was just like definitely a conscious moment in my mind where I felt like
There's a great shift of some sort. Yeah.
That's the closest thing that I got, I think. Yeah. So that's
did you have something like that, Irene, or no?
I definitely had a lot of dark feelings of darkness in general, and I did have like thoughts about that, but I think the way that I lived and still live is very like much my meaning of life is to just experience it, right?
Present.
So even for me, it's like it doesn't matter that there's no meaning. It doesn't matter that nothing matters, but I exist now. And what does this mean? Like, what are these feelings do I have? What is all of this that I actually experience? So it's just like having, I guess in my life, it's always just been about understanding more and experiencing more, because this is the state that I'm in now. So why not experience the state to its fullest, regardless of why I'm here. I really do believe that there is no like meaning or like reason for me to be here or for us to be in this state, right? But it just spontaneously happened, or it's just something probabilistic and it just occurred, and it could be some instant, but why not just experience the state that I'm in? So it's kind of been like that. But within living, I think the thing that has, I guess, when I was a child, I saw like a lot of people suffering, like in my family and stuff. I saw like my aunt being abused or whatever, and like seeing the pain in her eyes, that would be something where I was like, why does there have to be so much so much suffering and so much pain? Why can't these people live and experience life to its fullest? Why are they stuck in this one state all the time, right? And so it's kind of like that's kind of the existential issue that I had, like wanting people to be able to feel life to a larger extent. Why do they have to be these restrictions? Why do they have to be those barriers? Why do people impose like all of these norms on themselves? Like, why are they not allowing themselves to experience the full breadth of existence? And that's the thing that really caused me the most turmoil. And then I also felt those chains on me, which caused me to go through like a large existential crisis throughout my life, probably. To the point that like then when I got, let's say in high school, it started really at that point was where all of that I saw like just came to like an explosion, I guess. And I feel like I really had a fractured mind in general because of having to live within a world that really, to me, was just so painful to see and to be part of. And then all of these different parts of my mind that were fractured just kind of collided at that point. And I got into a really dark period. And I feel like my journey from there was essentially to break down my whole self, how I had been trained, how I had been programmed from my external environment, and then rebuild myself to align with what I always felt was like the true meaning of existing, right? And then being able to advocate for myself within that path, and then trying to share that information or trying to help other people, like in terms of being able to be more free or feel more of that. And then, I don't know, I guess I didn't have much of a voice for all that time. Because I was like you said, I did a lot of observation. I didn't really want to add more into, I guess. And then it took me a while to kind of build a voice in terms of, that's probably why I'm, like we've talked about, I'm pretty shy in general. Because it's like a new thing for me having this voice, right? And I'm still like trying to grow that part of me. But I don't know if that answered the question, though. That's
yeah, you did. It actually sounds like similar to, I think we all have like a similar It sounds like there's similarity between all three of
Yeah.
our like paths in some sense, like the dark period, just,
Yeah.
like breaking yourself down and then
Exactly.
rebuilding yourself up.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, yeah, it makes sense.
But I feel like a lot of people have that kind of need too, right? It's like when you grow up as a child, like a lot of yourself is formed from the external environment, right? You don't have as much say, but you have a part to say of like how you want to be. But you get trained in a way from your external environment, and then when you get older, a lot of times that training is faulty. It's like the code is faulty, and it doesn't really align with your values, doesn't align with what you want, and even just parts of the code can like not even work with each other. And like I feel like you really do have to do that internal work. You have to break it down and rebuild your code from the bottom up, the way that you want it to be. And I think a lot of people don't do that because they don't even know that they need to do that. They don't even. There's no conversation around it. Exactly. And like you said, people see the darkness, they run away. What I did, I saw the darkness. I'm like, I have to go there. I have to explore it.
Right.
I have to know what it is. I have to see it. If I feel uncomfortable, I need to try to see why I feel so uncomfortable. Right. And it's hard and it's scary, but it's necessary.
That's what it is.
But if people were there to support you and tell you that is part of the process, people would get through that more easily. They'd do the breaking down, they'd rebuild, and then they'd, move on to self-actualization at some point, right?
Yeah, but like you said, it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So
it's not talked about enough.
Yeah, it's not, for sure. And it's so abstract too. I think it's hard to understand what that even means. So I struggle even I always am trying to figure out better ways to say it and make it more brought down to earth.
I mean, I like the analogy to code,
yeah, but I'm
even to that.
I guess I'm more speaking of like is there a way to really break down why it's important to move towards the darkness, and even what does moving towards the darkness even mean?
Oh, well.
So it's like all the specific things, you know what I mean? It's hard to say what that is.
Well, like through feelings. Like, when you start feeling there's an idea or thought or someone says something and it elicits this feeling that makes you feel uncomfortable and bad. Then you need to say, why do I feel uncomfortable and bad right now? What did they say that made me feel like that? And you go down this train of thought like, oh, that person said this. It reminded me of when, and then it made you feel something like when you were a child and whatever happened. And then you think of that thing and you're like, what happened there exactly? And you just keep going down that line of discomfort, of feeling and ideas, and you build a thread to understand why you're feeling, what made you feel uncomfortable, until you get to the source. A lot of times for me, when I get to the source, I start bawling. I know when I start crying that is something I need to look at more. A lot of people feel like a shame about crying. They feel it's wrong, so they don't even want to engage. To me, it's like if you cry, that means that's something that's something strong, meaningful in there about like your internals. Something's going on, and you should figure that out. So use crying, use these things that come in our biology as tools for you to understand yourself better. That's what I think is like how you should be approaching like walking into the darkness,
Very
through your feelings.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's very good.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I do it.
It's so simple, and I didn't even think of it like that. I was like, feelings? Oh, yeah. I guess it is true.
It's hard. It's a long process, though. Those threads
can
take you out miles.
For me, that's actually kind of one of my weaker points is understanding feelings. I literally feel like embarrassed. Like I feel like I'm only getting decent. I don't even know if I'd say decent. Like I feel like I'm only understanding that at like 35, 36 years old. I feel like I'm not very good with it. Because for me, I would describe it as like I always feel like my feelings are like a fog.
Okay.
Like I never know what is under it.
Yeah. So
especially if I'm by myself, I have no fucking idea how I feel internally. It's almost like I never can understand it.
Well, I think that's like really individual. Because for me, like I am so sensitive to emotions and feelings. So like for me, it's like emotion comes, it's a stab. It's like crazy. It's absurd. That's why I told you I had this fragmentation in my mind, because it was so intense that it has to like push it to some other location. So it's like I cannot like push away from engaging, because it's just so extreme that if I'm going to stay mentally sane, I can't ignore it. I have to confront it.
That's so interesting.
So it's like it's a necessity. It was a necessity for me because I was mentally insane,
right?
Because of it,
And I think it's interesting because then it's like you have more of an adept understanding of like approach. You have a great indicator of when something's wrong or something's off.
Yeah.
Because your feeling is so strong.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like I don't have that. So it's like I went so long in my life not confronting that. It's like, then it like comes out in fucked up ways, and like you're just like, it's uncontrolled. And then it's just like, you don't know how to control that. So I'm like just understanding it. Like I just figured out like how to actually start pinpointing what I'm feeling. And it's embarrassing, I have to say, but I had to use.
It's not embarrassing.
I have to sometimes use this thing called an emotion wheel. So I literally look at a wheel with.
That's really
your
good
feelings.
though. I do that too. We have this paper
because I didn't even know what I'm feeling, and I was like, oh, I needed something objective. And as soon as I started using it, I was able to pinpoint what I'm actually feeling. Sorry, I'm just drooling.
I think everyone should be given an emotional.
Yeah, but I'm like, man, it's like nobody tells you this shit, and I'm like, I went through 35 years not understanding how to even understand what I'm feeling. And then it took this stupid fucking wheel to finally unlock like what I'm actually feeling.
That's what I'm saying. It's so easy. It's these like little tools.
Yeah.
That are so
And
easy
no one
to give.
And it's like
to
I
people.
just it's like so unknown. I feel like that's like
Yeah.
to me it seems like it should be something that should be taught.
It's so
from, like,
it can be
beginning.
so accessible.
Yeah. It's just funny to me, like the priorities we put on things like, oh, we have to read Anne of Green Gables in English class, but I can't learn about an emotion wheel that's going to probably suit me.
The English class should
way
just be
better in
talking
life.
about the emotion wheel and your emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think.
I feel like a lot of people would benefit, especially a lot of people like me who may not have good access to their internal
exactly.
feelings.
Yeah.
Hey, Poochie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a. I mean, that sounds like alexithymia, right? So, people in my family struggle with it. Is basically alexithymia as being like kind of colorblind to your emotions, right? It's so that when you described it as a fog, it definitely sounded like similar to experiences that like my mom has alexithymia and so on. And basically, it's not having a good understanding of emotions and like. A lot of times they'll fly under your radar, right? And so it's definitely more common in men. Like there's like a normative male alexithymia because
I didn't even know. I gotta write this down. I didn't know this was a thing. I thought it was just because I'm a fucking, male. It's like stereotypical that we can't feel shit.
Yeah, so
I'm like, all right.
There's a normative male alexithymia in the sense that like men aren't taught their emotions or how they relate to them or how they work. So as a result, men are like overrepresented in being alexithymic. But anyway, so that's something that you might be worth looking into.
I can
don't
take
know.
a test on it.
Probably, I don't know.
Okay, interesting.
I think they do have tests.
Okay,
but I don't know. Yeah, so I could talk. I don't know as many details about it personally because that's like I said, my family struggles with it, so I could ask them for more details if you're curious. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, to the broader point, yeah, I think it's kind of fucked up that we're not taught how to identify emotions. Period. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, it's like I feel like some of these things, like if you just talked about them a little bit, would make huge differences. Like a simple emotion wheel to me was like such an unlock. I mean,
and yet they're in some states they want to ban any type of like emotional social learning language in school.
Do they?
In textbooks.
I didn't even know they did any of it. I didn't know they did any of it.
So I mean, some textbooks nowadays they try to like get people thinking about how they're feeling about things, like when they're doing math, some people might have some negative emotions towards like actually the process of trying to do math. So they have to try to get like kids to engage in how they're feeling while they're doing like the assignments and stuff like that, which I think is a positive thing. But like some states don't want to have that kind of language at all. So they kind of want to remove all social emotional learning, which I think is actually a big mistake. I think it's important to check in and see how are you feeling doing this process, right?
I don't know much about it, but we definitely need some new tools.
Yeah. I mean, the tools are there. They just need to be used.
Yeah, something's got to be. Yeah, I feel like it's just there's so many leaps you can make with simple things.
Yeah.
That we just are not really even trying it seems, or like
We're really
I don't know.
opposed to it, though. I mean, like some people are so afraid of even.
Well, the
allowing
school
that.
system is just so I don't know. The school system seems like it's a lost cause to me. So I'm like, it's not changed ever, and I don't know how you change it. How do you change it?
I don't know. The problem I see with it now is it's gotten so politicized that like a lot of times they use it as like a bargaining chip in politics of like, oh, the kids, think of the kids, and so then the change happens, but it's like it constantly going back and forth with like the different administrations and stuff like that. And so it's like, I think if you want it to have lasting change, somehow you have to make it apolitical, or you have to like get control of political power somehow. But yeah, that's why I perceive that it's kind of fucked.
Interesting. Yeah, whatever it is, I have no clue, but
Yeah.
it's like a problem I don't even think about because I feel like it's such a lost cause. Unfortunately, I mean, it's sad, but I just don't even know where to begin. It's so out of my wheelhouse that I have almost no opinion. I'm just like, I know what I would do if I was a teacher. Like I would just, like if I was the real shit teacher, professor real shit, I would teach kids all this stuff. I teach about emotion wheel. I teach them about fucking, nihilism and existentialism and pushing through the darkness. And I teach them all this shit, but I'm like, I don't know how the school system just prioritizes other stuff. Mm-hmm. And I kind of get it, I guess, in some. I don't know. I'm torn because I'm like, I get that you want to keep kids innocent and you want to keep them seeing the best in the world and things. Because when you start opening up the nihilism box and the existential box, unwillingly, especially, that's like a mind fuck, and some kids are not ready for that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I mean, you don't have to open up so hard, like it could just be simply like exploring how kids are viewing the world and helping them find
Okay, there's maybe
like
softer
you're supporting
approaches.
them. Yeah, you're not like, oh, here's all of these philosophical ideas.
And they're like, I can't take it.
Your homework is Nietzsche.
Nothing matters.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's the best thing a kid should be reading. That's kind of too intense, probably, depending on the child. But
Yeah, some children might be into it.
yeah, but some might like jump off a bridge.
Yeah.
So
I lost track of one thought, but I guess I'll just circle back to it because it seems like there's a little bit of a break. Was just about like your existential thought about like why are these people stuck in this like place, right? Why can't they like actualize or escape this toxic behavior or whatever? And it does sound like the theme amongst us is like being able to peer into the darkness, right? And like having the courage to face your fears in that sense, right? And I think that maybe I'm just treading on. It sounded like you guys kind of said this, anyways, but yeah, it's just I find that when I'm presented with those feelings, for me, it manifests very similar to the way that Irene described about like I have a certain feeling or I notice a certain sensation in my body about like, oh, I'm feeling like embarrassed or ashamed or whatever. And then I follow that thread down, whatever. To me, it seems like a pretty clear, like binary choice. It's like I approach a cliff in my mind of like, okay, here's this thing. I realize I'm feeling like terrified to look or to jump and trust that it's going to work out, very unstable ground or whatever. But I find that I guess I see what happens on the alternative of if you don't take the step and then you're just kind of trapped in the unconscious, right? Then you're saying, okay, I'm going to let this fear control me. And I don't know what's down the thread. I don't know what the root cause of it is because I'm too scared to find out. and then you're basically seceding your control or your hope of like improving the situation
because you won't take the leap.
Yeah.
So you're stuck on the cliff.
Yeah, that's
Makes
kind of
sense.
That's kind of how I'm thinking about it in this moment.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, and also thinking of it in terms of sometimes being more detached and being like, I just want to gain understanding. Like a lot of times it's like, I want to understand myself fully, like I want to, I guess also having the mindset of wanting to know more, wanting to explore, like, just being like a natural explorer. I think that's has helped me in that aspect. Whereas some other people really do not have that inclination. And so they don't have the inclination. Let me go down this path I've never seen before. It's too scary. Like I can't even engage. So it's like, I agree with you what you're saying, but I think some other people would probably say, no, that's way too scary for me.
Yeah.
I don't really have the desire to explore or to gain more information about things. I just don't want to. I feel comfortable here. It's not great. It's like I still feel a lot of like, maybe chaos or whatever. They feel discomfort in the place that they're in, but because they know this place, then it becomes something of comfort to them.
Right.
I feel a lot of pain, but it's comfortable.
What's down the cliff could be far worse than
exactly.
and then what if I can't get back up?
And then I'm stuck in a way worse spot.
Yeah, right. It makes sense.
But I mean, they learn how to be comfortable with this bad spot, so they should just think, even if it's worse, I'll probably learn how to be comfortable in this spot too.
That's true. But then the question is there ever a time where you jump the cliff and oh fuck, there's only spikes?
Yeah, sure. That's where you should probably seek professional professional psychological help, because there's probably times where like looking into the
feeling
darkness
is justified.
Yeah, looking into the darkness for certain specific situations, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Doesn't turn out so pretty,
But if you feel this fear to like it's debilitating fear to go down that path and to know more, and you already saw it and you're like, I'm too scared to look at that, but it's bad here, but I kind of should be looking there, but I'm too scared. But you can't do it yourself. That's when you should be saying, I need to seek professional help. You know what I mean? That should be the moment where you're like, I can't push through. That I think you should be like, oh, maybe I should go see professional help. They can help you go down the path, right? But I think a lot of people, there's still stigma to trying to see.
There's
still a lot of stigma in people's minds about getting professional help. Right? So instead, they say there's something wrong with me if I have to go there. No, it just means like you're maybe you're not ready, or by yourself you're too like they're scared to kind of engage in that way. But then there's a tool here, this person that can help guide you through. So why would you not want to use that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess some people still don't want to explore.
Yeah. It's probably just it's discomfort.
Yeah.
No.
Just like going down the hill. It's just more levels of discomfort.
Yeah. I guess that's what it is.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, do you think that it's something that maybe is partly innate in us in terms of like always wanting to know more, and having kind of like...
Oh, you mean us specifically?
Yes.
Yeah.
That sense of like...
I'm sure there's a factor. We're all three physicists, which is like you're basically staring into the unknown all the time.
I'm saying it seemed like we all had that inclination before we became physicists. Like as children, we were like that, right? So it's like, I guess I'm asking, is this something that is innate that kind of pushed us down this path and then, eventually we became physicists or something? Or do you think it's something that, how did we end up being able to face that darkness so head on while other people seem to be stopped?
There's a lot of different I see it as like it could be anything, but like one possibility that's coming to mind is like a desire to know the truth, right? Like it sounds like objectivity is something that's important to all of us, is like being able to ground your beliefs and your understandings of the world, including yourself, treating yourself like an experiment, right?
Started early with your experiments.
Pretty much.
Like you had your scientific journal over taking notes.
You're right. Oh, no.
Just kidding.
Wanting to know the truth, even though that might be scary, somehow we place a value of truth above the scariness.
Right.
I don't know where that comes from.
Yeah.
But,
Makes sense why we're scientists. Right?
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah. But it's a good question. I'll have to think about it. You have any ideas?
No, I mean, I think that there is some innate part of that. That I think some people are just more inclined to be explorers, and people who are less inclined to be explorers.
I agree. I think you're right.
But I don't know. But obviously, the environment also plays a part, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the role models you have, the people that you engage with, what kind of friends, peers you see, culture as a whole, all plays a part. But I don't know.
But truth at all costs, I think, is definitely an underlying theme, for sure. For sure.
Truth at all costs.
Well, you have to, like, we have a high premium on finding out the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to find the truth, almost like religiously.
No, I mean, I agree. It's truth at all costs for me. Now that I think about it, you say, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's like,
yeah,
it's a driving
like,
force.
For me, I'd rather know the truth than, like, there's no way I could live in a false reality.
Yeah. If there's if I even know an inkling that there's something else, something more potentially, I will always go down the path of let me find out what that more is.
Yeah.
Like I always want as much knowledge as possible.
Yes.
So no one's staying in the Matrix.
No.
You're given the red pill or blue pill. You find out.
Well, I would if I knew the Matrix existed.
Okay.
Because at least I have the knowledge to know that it's a Matrix.
I mean,
And
if
I'll say,
I
"Okay,
if I know the Matrix, I'll go explore what it means.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, if I like the other place better, the simulation place better, then I'll go back to the simulation
Exactly.
place.
At least I have the choice then.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
I'm
want to
like,
know,
I know the
all
Matrix,
the possibilities.
It's like, I know this shit's a Matrix, but man, this steak is fucking good. So
Well,
Yeah.
Well, in the movie, you don't get that deal. I'm sorry, guys. Like once you
that guy Cypher did.
well,
He got it right.
He tried to go back and it didn't work out so well for him.
We'll have to pave a new
close.
path
He was
then.
close.
So if you
There's only one choice.
you're given
I
the
don't
two
believe in that
you're
one.
given the two pills. If you go out of the Matrix, you can't come back.
Well, then I'm out.
You're leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll find my
I'd
own
have
path.
So you're taking no pills and you're just what? You're gonna
I'll steal a pill when they're not looking. I'll leave and then I'll come back if I want to.
And I think the agents are on you then. They know. They know she's out.
okay. Interesting.
Yeah, definitely taking the
No, I mean, if I had to choose, I would obviously want to know more about it. So I would
Yeah.
take it, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, curiosity's
Yeah.
yeah. It's not so clear to me whether I'd want to stay. Yeah, same with you in Zion or whatever the hell. But like,
Yeah, because Zion was kind of shitty. I mean, no, Zion's okay.
yeah, but
The
But
Zion
if I
and the
know I
second
could
one
code
were okay.
anything up I wanted, I'd code up the simulation,
Yeah, that'd be sick.
go hang out there
Yeah.
a little bit, and then I'll come out
That's
again
true, 'cause
whenever I
you just
want.
code your own stuff.
Yeah.
That's true, because they have their own programs. So then, yeah, you'll be fine.
I mean, I would,
Kinda
spend
get the
time in
best of
both.
both worlds, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you kind of get the best. Yeah.
And if those weird, what were they, aliens? Or AI? Or what
Machines.
was it?
machines.
If they
Like
need
AI
my,
machines,
if they
yeah.
want to take my, what
Organs.
did they do while the people
They
were
use
sleeping?
humans as batteries. They
Yeah.
use like their electrical energy.
Okay, so they can use my electrical energy if they want while I'm hanging out, taking vacation, and then I come
Yeah,
back.
actually, the machines weren't even bad. Like, what did they do?
They
Well,
didn't really hurt you, right?
No, they
Well-
just wanted batteries.
They
So it's
harvested.
like, all right, I guess.
They harvested you.
They did, but you lived in a matrix comfortably.
Uh-huh.
But like
I don't know if the machines were that bad. I'm just saying that could have been a lot worse.
Oh, so if we put like cows in the VR goggles. Like they're doing-
but the thing is,
that-
We
like,
still slaughter them though. That's the problem.
yeah,
what
they
it is.
didn't slaughter humans. They didn't
Well,
eat them.
They
or
just got
anything.
rid of you when you were dying, I guess.
yeah,
Which
basically.
when you die anyway.
Yeah,
so-
exactly. So
So there's no ethical problems with putting the cows in the VR.
No, the ethical problem with the Matrix is that people didn't have a choice. They had to be. There was no knowledge given to them about how like there's this other world.
They
and
didn't get to opt in. They
Yes.
didn't consent to being in the Matrix.
Exactly.
That's the only problem.
Well, there might be more
That's
problems.
Okay.
One of the problems
consent
is
to
they
the
did not
Matrix.
consent.
But so if the cows and the VR goggles, somehow you get them to consent, then it's okay? They're like,
how can the cow? Okay,
One
tell
move
me
for
how the
yes,
cows
two
even
moves for
can you even
no.
understand?
I'm just saying, hypothetically, grant me the magical power to understand whether a cow
They can't
consent's
be in
enough.
there all the time because it's not. I don't think having the human in the it's not healthy for them in general.
That's irrelevant. What your opinion? I'm saying like, if the cow consents to being in the VR thing, like actually this VR setup is legit. You know, I want to go in the Matrix.
So much grass.
Okay, if you give the cow all of the information, all the potential like side effects of being in this situation, you give them every information you even know about.
Do you apply that same standard to humans in the Matrix?
What do you mean?
Like,
For people, if she applies to the cows, I'm sure she definitely.
That's what I'm trying to get clear. Like, if for people to give consent to being in the Matrix, they need to get all of the details, every single detail.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't agree with all these agreements that where they don't give you all the information. No.
I bet you if that was the case, a lot of people would stay in the Matrix because they would see that shit in the real world and be like, nah. They would go in the Matrix.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. The robots didn't have to do it that way. They used to be like, this is a much better place. Come check it out. They sell it to them, and then they're like, oh, actually, yeah, I do like this place better. All you have to do is pay me through your energy. I'm like, okay.
I think a lot of people would take that deal.
Probably.
Like, honestly.
It'll be a whole different movie.
Yeah, that should have been Matrix 4 or 5.
Yeah, that would be amazing, right?
Like,
now, that would have been great.
Yeah. Because
everybody's aware of the Matrix and they all just decide to stay anyway.
Yeah, because the fourth
amazing.
Matrix was ass, but like
terrible.
I feel like this plot sounds much better.
Yeah, if they did that, then that would have been hats off, man. That would be like, that's actually funny. Like if they made Matrix for a comedy movie,
like a remix, and it's like
awesome.
remix as a comedy. You know?
But anyways, so if the cow you give all the cow all the details.
Yeah.
Like, and then they consent, and then you're cool with it.
Well, they chose to do it. Once you give all the information possible, and then the person still that's their choice. They made that choice.
Yeah, okay.
It's an informed choice because it's been informed with all the information. And if new information comes out, then you have to re-inform them within every time new information comes. Mm-hmm. So it's not just all information now. It's all information now and in the future forever.
Yeah.
And then you can make an informed choice.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be understood by the person. So if they don't understand the way you said it first, then you have to keep explaining it until they understand. So there's a lot of like...
You've thought about this.
There's a lot of stipulations there.
It's like, if the Matrix ever happens, I'm going to be prepared.
She's the machine's lawyer.
Contract.
yeah, exactly.
I like it.
But then it's a consent informed decision. So
yeah. All right.
Okay. Well,
is that good?
Should we call it there? You tell me.
I think that's good.
Yeah, we ended on the Matrix remix. We have a whole new movie coming out.
Yep. Just give us money. We'll make it for you. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Terence. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully. Hopefully we can have you again on soon, or you could have us on Eigen Bros whenever that comes back.
I will make no promises, but because people are going to start asking me when is it coming back. But perhaps.
I apologize for the headache, but okay, yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone. Catch y'all on the next one.